I saw her across the park one golden afternoon, sunlight gently spilling through the branches above, kissing her hair like even nature knew she was special. She was sitting alone, reading, her fingers brushing against each page, as though every word had a secret to tell. I couldn't look away, something about her quiet presence pulled at something deep within me, a longing I hadn't yet named. My steps moved on their own, drawn by a gravity older than reason. As I approached, she looked up and smiled, and it was like the universe stopped spinning just long enough for my heart to realign. That smile carved a place in my soul, and I knew without knowing that this was the beginning of everything. I said hello with a voice I barely recognized as mine, soft and breathless. She answered, and the way her voice met the air made it feel like music had been born just to give sound to her thoughts. In that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the past, not the future, only her, and how she made time stand still. We began to talk, as if some invisible thread already connected us. Our words flowed like a river, finally unblocked, carrying shared dreams, unspoken hopes, and stories neither of us had ever told before. Her laugh was delicate but vibrant, like the flutter of wings in spring, and every time it echoed through the air, I felt warmth rush through me. She spoke of favorite books, the scent of rain, memories that shaped her, and I listened as if each sentence were sacred. I told her things I never thought I'd say out loud, not out of courage, but because with her, vulnerability wasn't frightening, it felt like freedom. We sat together until the sky shifted from blue to pink, until the stars blinked to life, and night wrapped us in gentle silence. Still neither of us moved. The world had melted away, and all that remained was this space between us, glowing with something we hadn't yet named. I looked at her and realized I was already falling, not into a fleeting moment, but into something infinite and deep. Days turned into weeks, and our connection only grew. We walked through gardens hand in hand, the earth beneath our feet somehow softer when she was near. She'd pause to admire the way sunlight touched the petals, and I'd admire her, the way her eyes lit up with wonder, like every flower bloomed just for her. We'd spend afternoons under trees, lying on blankets, sharing our favorite songs, hers full of longing and mine full of hope. We weren't rushing, just existing together, breathing the same air, soaking in every second as if we'd been given a treasure we had to savor slowly. I memorized the way she bit her lip when thinking, the way her hand fit into mine, the curve of her smile just before she said something witty. With her, even silence became a melody. I was no longer afraid of what came next, because she was the answer to every question my heart had ever whispered. I wasn't just falling in love, I was becoming love, piece by piece, word by word, with every glance we shared. We kissed for the first time under a sky full of stars, the kind of sky that made you believe in magic. Her lips touched mine gently, a promise whispered in a language older than words. Everything faded except for the warmth of her breath, the way her fingertips rested on my cheek like they belonged there. The world didn't erupt in fireworks, it exhaled softly, finally, like it had been holding its breath waiting for this very moment. After that kiss, everything changed but also stayed the same. Our hands still found each other without trying. Our laughter still came easy, but now there was a deeper rhythm to it all, a quiet certainty pulsing between us. I found myself dreaming of futures with her, waking up wanting her near, falling asleep grateful that she chose to stay. Every part of her became familiar, sacred, irreplaceable. She was no longer someone I had found, she was someone I had always been meant to find. And I cherished her with the kind of love that doesn't fade, it only grows, stronger and softer all at once. We had our moments, of course, no story is perfect. There were misunderstandings, days when tired words fell heavier than intended, nights when silence filled the space between us more than laughter. But we never walked away. We fought, not to win, but to be understood. And when we hurt each other, we healed together. She'd come close after an argument, tears in her eyes, and a soft apology on her lips, and I'd take her in my arms, my own regrets tumbling out in whispers. Love wasn't just the soft parts, it was showing up when things felt hard, choosing each other again and again, even when storm clouds loomed. We learned the contours of forgiveness, the shape of patience, the importance of grace, and through it all I never stopped looking at her like she was everything, because she was. Even at our worst, I wanted no one else by my side. Love wasn't just about never falling, it was about always getting back up together, stronger for the stumble, firmer in our bond. We built a life slowly, like planting a garden. Each memory was a seed, and our love watered them with time. We moved into a little house with creaky floors and sunlit windows, and we filled it with laughter, music, and the smell of morning coffee. She painted the walls in colors that made her smile, and I hung photographs of us, each one a frozen moment of magic. We danced in the kitchen to songs from the radio, burned dinners while getting lost in conversation, and stayed up late dreaming under blankets. She would curl into me at night, like a question I had waited my whole life to answer. There was no grand secret to our happiness, just small choices, made daily with love. I wrote her poems in the margins of newspapers, and she left me notes hidden in coat pockets. Every day we said I love you like it was the first time, because it always felt new. We didn't just share a house, we shared a heart, and it beat louder with every passing season. One spring afternoon, I watched her sitting on the porch, sunlight draped across her shoulders like a blessing. She was humming to herself, lost in thought, and I knew right then, I would love her until my very last breath. I walked up behind her and kissed her hair, just to remind her how cherished she was. She looked at me with eyes that still made my chest ache, and we didn't need to speak. Some love doesn't need words, it simply exists, undeniable and vast. That day we talked about forever, not as some distant dream, but as the reality we were living. We didn't make grand declarations, we just held each other longer, a little tighter, knowing that this was it. I would grow old beside her, watch her hair turn silver, trace the lines time drew on her face with reverence. She would be my last thought before sleep, my first thought each morning, my constant. And every time I looked at her, I'd still feel that spark, that first day wonder, burning softly, eternally. Years passed, but my love for her never aged. We saw wrinkles form like quiet poetry, wrote our history into the corners of our home, watched the world change around us, while our hearts remained anchored in each other. I still brought her flowers on rainy days, and she still sang off-key in the shower. We held hands through grief and joy alike, never letting go. She had become my entire landscape. Every street we walked was colored by her steps, every breeze carried her scent, every sunset a reflection of her light. I never stopped seeing her. Even after decades, one glance from her could still undo me. We grew softer, but not weaker. Our love matured like wine, richer, more profound, endlessly intoxicating. I thanked the stars every night for that afternoon, in the park, for the girl with the book, and the smile that rewrote my life. She made the mundane holy, the ordinary divine. With her I was not just alive, I was completely utterly awakened. She was my miracle, and I never stopped believing. One winter morning, the world outside was silent, snow covering everything in a soft hush. I woke to an emptiness beside me, a cold space where her warmth once lived. She had passed in her sleep, peacefully, without pain, but the ache in my chest was unbearable. I held her hand, long after the world told me to let go, kissed her forehead, and whispered 100 "I love yous" into the stillness. She was gone, and yet she was everywhere. Her scent lingered in our sheets, her voice echoed in my memory, her love pulsed in every beat of my shattered heart. I grieved not only for the loss, but for the beauty of having known her so deeply. We had written a love story not even death could erase, and now I live with her shadow beside me, still whispering joy into the quiet. I walk the paths we once walked, smile at flowers she loved, and speak to her in my dreams, because true love doesn't end, it simply finds new ways to stay. Now I write this from the quiet of our old home, the walls still echoing with her laughter. I place a flower on the windowsill each morning, her favorite kind, and imagine she smiles from somewhere I cannot yet reach. I remember the way her hand felt in mine, and somehow, it still brings me peace. Our story lives on in these pages, in the heartbeat I carry forward, in the way I still see beauty in the world, because she once showed it to me. Though I grow older, though time continues its relentless march, I know she's not truly gone. Love like ours defies time and distance. She is the reason I still wake with gratitude, the light in my memories, the soul beside mine in the quiet hours. One day I will see her again, but until then I will keep writing, keep loving, keep remembering, because once I loved someone so deeply, so truly, that it changed every piece of me. And that kind,